You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru at. Tümer gitti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Zuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 196 of the Black Eagles podcast. I am your host, Sinan, live from New York City. A lovely evening here. Getting chillier. The fall has arrived. But, yeah, still, they get the old hoodie out every once in a while. Not bad. On the other hand, we have Beşiktaş, which I guess we got to talk about here. Champions League, which is always a big deal. You can certainly say that any Champions League encounter is going to be huge, but this one is even bigger, right? Neither Sporting nor Beşiktaş had gotten any points out of the Champions League thus far. Largely disappointed. Until this match, it had been Sporting which had done more of the disappointing. Beşiktaş had strung together some decent losses, if you will, where the defense didn't really crumble. So that's what we were bringing into the match. I guess I'll mention historically, it's interesting that Sporting, we played them last in 2015. And at home, we drew them 1-1 on October 1st, and then in Lisbon on December 10th of 2015, we got smushed 3-1 over there. So, not the best track record, perhaps.
Operation is in effect as of right now.
In recent outings, but I guess that's quite a ways in the past, right? So we weren't going to bring that in, any of that negativity. I guess it's probably worth mentioning, as far as their form goes, coming into this match. Their last match was a cup game. They beat Belenenses 0-4 on the road. Prior to that, they had beaten Arouca 1-2, also on the road. Before that, they lost to Dortmund 1-0. Also on the road in the Champions League, and then prior to that, they'd beaten Maritimo at home 1-0. So lots of victories, none particularly impressive as far as huge outings goal-wise until this last one in the cup. It's a cup match though, so it's perhaps a little different from what you'd expect. As far as normalcy. Still, they would have come in on pretty good form and feeling pretty good about that result. So let's talk about what happened next, shall we? So obviously we were the hosts. So this game was at Vodafone Park. Beşiktaş put Ersin in goal, which I assumed they might. Wellington and Vida up ahead of him, with Fabrice Nsakala brought back into the lineup on the left side of the defense, with Valentin Jose on the right. Josef de Souza, Miralem Pjanic, and Alex Teixeira, the sort of ideal midfield trio for Beşiktaş. Finally, you might even say, with Rashid Ghazal on the right side and Kyle Larin on the left, and of course Michy Batshuayi up front. For Sporting, their keeper is of course Adan. Their back line is a trio of Sebastian Coates or whatever, Zuhair Fedal, Moroccan, and Gonçalo Inácio, 20-year-old Portuguese defender. Their wing backs are, of course, Pedro Porro, 22-year-old Spaniard, and I think Mateus, Brazilian. In the middle of their midfield was João Palhinha, who was a bit of a tough dude, next to Mateus Luiz, 23-year-old Portuguese central midfielder. And on the wings, of course, they had Pedro Gonçalves, 23-year-old Portuguese winger, and Pablo Sarabia, 29-year-old Spaniard, on the wing. Up front, Paulinho, 28-year-old Portuguese, listed as a central forward. I guess he'll play as a striker up there for them. And so, yeah, Ruben Amorim is their manager. And that's worth noting. I think he did his homework, and I'll get into that. I should, of course, give a shout out to our stadium sound guy, Emre ehasturk. He was live. It was great to have him get back in the stadium and provide us with these sounds. So shouts to him. He's at ehasturk, HASTURK on Twitter. And I'll give him another shout out after the match explanation here. And so, yeah, in the match, first of all, 54th second, they would be right out of the gates. Paulinho getting a nice cross off the counter, which you didn't anticipate perhaps. Ersin being forced to scramble and make a pretty decent save. 4th minute, we would come back and show a little intent. Right after having a kind of half chance not go his way, he would have another chance come his way. This one, of course, he being Rashid Ghezal. And he would send a ball just wide across the goal mouth with some curve on it. And Beşiktaş showing intent. Beşiktaş was kind of gegenpressing early on, and it was looking like it could pay off, Rashid Ghezal looking to have that touch, perhaps. And so Beşiktaş would press for a good 15 minutes until it would be Pedro Porro who would bring it up the right side easily on a counter, finding Sarabia, who would force a really nice save from Ersin, a diving save across the goal mouth. And that would signal a slight shift, only insofar as it would produce a corner kick, which would Pot would take it. It would drop to someone, I'm not exactly sure who would head it on to Sebastian Coates. And yeah, he would put it away for a goal. And it was Gonçalo Inácio, by the way, who is credited with the assist. And so yeah, sure enough, perhaps you could say against the run of play, Sporting takes the lead, 0-1. And from there, they seem to have wrested control of the match even. Or not necessarily, but at least stemmed Beşiktaş's early push. And of course, Beşiktaş is starting to tire now. They're putting a lot of pressure on. In the 22nd minute, Pot would find a nice counter-attacking sort of loop of a cross, would drop to Pot, who would again force a save from Ersin. Ersin quite active and making a number of saves. Although still Beşiktaş looks somehow the more dangerous and attacking side up to this point. But yeah, sure enough, Beşiktaş would come back looking to exact revenge. 23rd minute, another corner kick, and it would be Pjanic finding Kyle Larin on the far side, heading it in with some ease, and sure enough, boom, equalized, 1-1, and the family man strikes. We're looking good. We're looking good for our goal. We're looking good for our draw thus far. Lots of energy. The crowd is into it, blowing whistles at every stage of this. So yeah, 1-1. A yellow card for Pedro Porro, by the way, in the 25th minute, right after the goal. But still, just a few minutes later, another corner kick. Again, Pot sending it in. This time it's Paulinho credited with the assist. Would find Sebastian Coates again. Another corner kick goal for him. 27th minute, and they get the lead back, 1-2. And at this point, things turn. The fatigue sets in. We're still trying to press, which is perhaps not so wise, because Sporting is sitting back and playing the counter magnificently at this point. And it seems like they're going to score again if we keep this up. But still, the next real opportunity would drop in the 37th minute of the match to Batshuayi, Pjanic, locating him from deep in the midfield. And he would make a pretty decent run, it looks like, and he would hit the post from a bit of distance. So a little unfortunate, perhaps, but certainly would give us hope, right? And just as any Beşiktaş fan might be starting to get a little hope, faded in the 40th minute on another corner kick, Sarabia corner kick. This time from the left side, so Sarabia was taking it instead of Pot. This time would go straight to Coates, who would head it down towards goal. I didn't even see any contact initially. Looked like a fantastic save by Ersin. Sure enough, it deflected off of Vida's arm. He had been jumping for the corner kick, and sort of leaping for it. He didn't see the ball. His back was turned to it. His arm was out though, so it was in an unnatural position. Probably could have gone either way, if they decided that the header was hit with such impact that he couldn't have really done anything to get his arm out of the way, and he was, sort of incidental. But in the end, the goal is the handball is awarded, and a penalty kick. Sarabia steps up to take it 1-3, and all hope seems to be lost. Very dispiriting half. I think whenever you're giving up 2 goals on set pieces, and you're bringing a lot of attacking verve and energy into the game, and you look like you could kind of catch your opposition off guard and do something in an impressive fashion, and instead it all falls apart. Kind of in a way that, you on the one hand, of course, Sporting has apparently trained seriously to take these corner kicks. It was an actual part of their training, so it's credit to Ruben Amorim, the manager. But anyhow, right after their goal, in the 30 seconds into extra time, going into the half, right before the half, Wellington sends a long ball from deep. It finds Alex Teixeira, who makes just a fantastic volley, diving, sort of deads the ball, but with a little curve on it, right over the keeper. Just delightful goal. And celebrations abound. But somehow in VAR it's taken off. He's called offside. I didn't see a really good. I didn't get a really good look at it, but I'll assume it was a correct call. Just I don't know why I would, but yeah, give the ref the benefit of the doubt. He could easily have. It looked like he was a bit off, but you hate to see that kind of goal taken down. Still, certainly a silver lining for Beşiktaş to see Alex Teixeira with another good match after the last one against Başakşehir. So he looks like he'll be fitting into this side pretty well, hopefully. And he could be a really solid contributor this season. It's weird. This is still maybe game 2 with the full complement. So we're only just starting to see these guys gel, and I'll speak more on that Anyway, so that's it at the half. We're down 1-3. Could have been 2-3. But that was taken off. No subs at the half. And early on in the second half, it's kind of a little tenuous. No real action. A yellow card for Alex Teixeira in the 47th for arguing. 58th minute, a yellow card for Rachid Ghazal for a bit of a rough tackle from behind. In the 61st minute, Batshuayi sends a nice ball up to Kyle Larin, who sends in a fairly lovely shot that requires a nice save from their keeper Adan. The save drops to someone on their defense, but Miralem Pjanic takes it off him with ease. Nice little quick ball to Rachid Ghazal, who finds Batshuayi, whose shot, a nice little dribble here and there, but then sends a shot wide. 66th minute, it's Paulinho getting a real good opportunity off of a cross, diving in, but not getting quite enough on the ball, and it hits the post. Could easily have been 1-4 at that point. 68th minute, Rachid Ghazal sends Michy Batshuayi on really well. He does really well to get around Adan, their keeper, but then just skies it. You hate to see it. Could easily have been a goal, and again, that would have made it 2-3 at that point, and could have blown the game open. But somehow he kind of muffs it. Doesn't quite have that finishing touch. I think in a lot of ways, he wasn't used to getting all these chances, right? He's the one guy who's been able to play while everyone else was injured, and so he's been just dying to get opportunities. Excuse me. And I think he was just really chomping at the bit, perhaps a bit too much, right? He was, couldn't keep it together. But anyway, 71st minute, Paulinho again hits the post, clattering it off of the crossbar. And so another huge opportunity for them on the counter. Every one of these is on the counter at this point. And of course, we're giving it all in the attack, trying to get back into this match as best we can, which is a better excuse than what we had early on. I think once we started to tire, we should have tried to play a bit more conservatively, even when we were down a goal, when it was 1-2. Just knowing we have the talent up front that can kind of create goals eventually, and have the faith in them to do so, while having them support our defense more than they did. I think we left our defenders out to lurch a bit. We're weak on the counter. In a lot of ways, it seemed like Ruben Amorim studied us, right? If he'd watched, all he had to do was watch our match against Başakşehir, and you could see it was almost the same game plan. They just hit us on the counter. Wait till we tired, wait till we overcommit to attack, and then bam. Sure enough, 88th minute, Pot would find Paulinho, who would send in a lovely ball curving. Ersson couldn't do anything with it, and it's a goal, 1-4. And at this point, it's a disaster. What I did not mention, so in the 72nd minute, we had a yellow card for Gonzalo Inacio. 73rd minute, Ricardo Esgaio entered the game for Mateusz. Gökhan Töre entered the game for Kyle Larin. Zuhair Fedal, their defensive player, got a yellow card in the 76th minute. Kenan Karaman entered the match for Alex Teixeira in the 80th. Thiago Tomas entered the match for Pablo Saravia in the 84th, right before their goal. The only real action beyond that, Miralem Pjanic got a yellow card in the 3rd minute of extra time. And in the 5th minute, Thiago Tomas would get a kind of point-blank chance, again on the counter naturally, ball dropping to him from deep. And Ersson would come up with another huge save, actually. So, just a huge match, I think we could say. A hugely disappointing match. I think you could even make the argument that we probably deserve to lose 4-1. Of course, they scored 2 goals like on set pieces, and you hate to see that. But supposedly, this is what they do. They prepare for those. They, they do that on the training pitch. And so this was something they do. We failed, not once but twice. Fool me once, shame on you, right? Fool me twice, shame on me. I think that's a shame on me scenario for Beşiktaş. Just couldn't get it done. A very disappointing result. I don't think anybody to lose is one thing, perhaps, but to lose like that would have, that's a killer. The mind killer. Everyone's seeing Dune. Anyway, let's get into some stats, shall we? So, interestingly, Beşiktaş had 64% of the ball to their 36%. This was not because Beşiktaş was behind the whole match. This was the norm throughout the whole match. When we were level at 0-0, when we were tied 1-1, throughout the whole match, Beşiktaş was holding much of the ball. But frankly, it seemed as if Sporting was tactically prepared for that. They countered to perfection. You're right. I mean, that goes without saying because, of course, if you look at XG, the score was about right. It was 4.56 to 0.95. 4-1 was the score, right? Or 1-4. We had 9 shots to their 20. 9 chances created to their 18. 1 big chance to their 8. We had 421 accurate passes completed to their 191. We completed them at an 84% rate. They only completed their passes at a 68% rate, Not a terribly efficient game for them, but again, right, just sit back and hit us on the counter. They knew what to do. Credit to Ruben Amorim. It was a bit of a masterclass tactically. What I have to say is that I don't know their plan A. I assume they're typically a team that has more of the ball than their opponents, and domestically, where they're probably the much stronger side relatively. So they had a plan B. They played this match based on, I assume, having scouted us, what they knew would be a weakness of ours, which is defending on the counter, which certainly was the case on Friday if they watched. We had the same back line with the exception of Fabrice and Sakala being inserted. And so, they did that to absolute perfection. Like I said, 20 shots, right? So 7 of those were off target. 9 were on target. So Ersin was really solid in a lot of ways. He made a ton of saves, but obviously let in a lot of goals as well. But still, I don't think you could blame him for any one of them. And given all the saves he made, what can you say? They hit the woodwork twice. We hit the woodwork once. They had 14 shots inside the box to our 8. 6 outside of the box to our 1. Yeah, I don't know. I won't go into any more team stats beyond that. We even got an XG this time around, so that's advanced, if you will. Excuse me, by the way, I have allergies going here today. I will talk about the players who were rated highly. From top to bottom, Paulinho was rated the highest. Of course, when you have a goal and an assist, you're going to be given the kind of numerical statistics there. Sebastian Coates, of course, 2 goals, right? What the hell? Pablo Sarabia also rated very highly. He had a goal. No assists. I thought he would have had an assist. Pedro Gonçalves, or Pot, of course, 1 assist and a very good game. He peppered Ersin with attempts on goal. When you have Mateus Luis, João Palhinha, Gonçalo Inácio, Pedro Porro, Zuhair Fedal, and then Miralem Pjanic, which is interesting to me. When we were looking good, he was always involved, but he was also a bit sloppy. and did not quite live up to to what we needed of him, perhaps. Although, perhaps we relied on him too much, so that's not necessarily his fault. Next up would be Kyle Larin, which is, it's an interesting fact. He had 2 shots, 14 accurate passes, at an 82% rate. He completed those passes. Both of his shots were on target. Forced a really good save, I suppose. He had 34 touches, so he was quite active. He won only 4 of 10 duels, but was involved in 10 duels, right? So again, I think the name of the game for him was activity. He was 1 of 4 on dribbles. The one was the one that resulted in the shot that resulted in a good save. He had 5 recoveries, so pretty good stuff from him. Then you have Michy Batshuayi, and that's the line for kind of good performances. Michy Batshuayi, of course, was offside a ton, however. Not his finest match, but he was very active and involved, and his energy was there, and I don't think we could at all blame him for the outcome out there. Obviously, the shot that he skied, when did that occur? Was that in the second half, I think? Yeah. In the 68th minute. Could have really brought us back into the match, obviously, but still, it doesn't say everything about his match. I guess I'll go over his stats. He had 4 shots, 17 accurate passes, completed them at an 89% rate. He created 2 chances. He had 1 shot blocked, 1 shot hit the woodwork, 3 off target, so no shots on target. Certainly not his finest game in that regard. He was 1 of 2 on long balls. He was 1 of 2 on crosses. He had 2 key passes, 38 touches. He won 4 of 9 duels. Just all over the place. Very active. 0 for 1 with aerial duels, but he was offsides 5 times, which is probably what would mark his game the most. As for above average, you have Nsakala, Alex Teixeira, Joseph de Souza, Antonio Adan, Ricardo Escaio, and Mateusz. And that's it. Ersin Destanoğlu was rated fairly poorly, but I don't know how they rate keepers. At the end of the day, he conceded 4 goals, so I think that doesn't look good statistically. But he made 5 saves, 3 diving saves, 5 saves inside the box. Acted as sweeper twice. He was very involved, very active. I think he honestly probably looked like a solid keeper. I don't think anyone who watched this match carefully would have come away thinking he's not a good keeper. He was let down for sure by his defense, especially on set pieces, which, what can you really say? But also generally speaking, our defense on the counter is just terrible. We looked so shaky throughout the whole match, and credit to Sporting, their pace, their technique, their vision. It was all top notch, but we were thoroughly outclassed. And I'm not going to say anything else about this match. I'm going to leave it at that. What I will do is I'm going to pass on the mic to Kaan Bayazit for hashtag Kaan's Corner. So I'm glad to get some thoughts from him. Let's see what he has to say. And thanks again to Emre ehasturk for the stadium sounds. He was there at the Vodafone Park for this unfortunately disappointing match. But hopefully we'll get more from him in coming matches. So shouts again to Emre at ehasturk.
Well, that was a disappointing result, unfortunately, in the Champions League. This game was the one we had to win after a somewhat unfortunate loss at home against Dortmund, where on a different day we might have been able to get more. And of course, a pretty unavoidable loss away at Ajax with a C team. This one, we didn't have an excuse of we missed X amount of players. Apart from Nkudu, I think we were pretty much at full strength. You did notice, I felt that players like Laren, like Pjanic, yes, they were there and recovered from their injuries, but I felt you noticed that they weren't at the level they needed to be at. Pjanic didn't have a great game, looked a little slow at times. Laren, in particular, despite scoring the goal, looked very lethargic, just not sharp. Late on every ball, I felt. But despite that, we had a fantastic opening 15 minutes again. And as I was watching, I was thinking to myself, they are surviving, they're weathering the storm. Is this going to be another example of 15 minutes of fantastic football followed by a stupid goal on a corner? I was literally thinking that, and it's as if I was thinking it into reality, because then they score on the corner, and that can happen. Of course, they dominated us in terms of heights and all that. So that's fine. You can concede a goal on a corner. It's not the end of the world. That's part of football. But then to concede basically a carbon copy of that goal, that's where I think one of the biggest issue lies. Just a lack of proper tactical preparation. And that is the big takeaway from this game, I think. The football we play between the lines is good, but we conceded on a corner as well against Dortmund, and it's just those types of things. I hope Sergen learns from it. We need to remember Sergen is still a very young and inexperienced coach. I mean, he's not super young. I mean, he's like 49 or something. But he's relatively inexperienced. Like, this is the first time ever he's coaching in the Champions League. He doesn't have a lot of Europa League games under his belt either. Some qualifiers in the past with Malatya, and I guess then last season with us, that game against Rio Ave, and then against PAOK in the Champions League qualifiers. But very limited European experience really in terms of coaching. And I think that showed in this game. But there are still plenty of positives to take away. I think the football we played at times was impressive. We created a lot of chances. And one of the worst things, I guess, from this match is Alex Teixeira's wonderful strike. And I legit think that's one of the best goals I've ever seen disallowed. It was really a Marco van Basten goal. It was amazing. But disallowed or not, I think it'll give him a confidence boost. He of course scored in the last match against Başakşehir as well. So if he can get up and running, we were already seeing it. Like, he's nowhere near 100% yet where we want him to be, but he's shown his class already. He is going to score a lot of goals if we can get him to 100% and keep him fit. So, yeah, in the long run, very disappointing, of course, for us to lose this. Again, third match in a row that we lose. I really hope we don't end on 0 points. That would be embarrassing, even though we've been competitive in all three of these games. But we've just simply have come up short so far. Hopefully we can get a couple of points in those last couple of games, but I think we need to be realistic and understand that Europe is done for us this season, but that might not be the worst thing in the world. I think it's not a big disadvantage for us to go into the second half of the season without Europe to worry about, without European games causing us fatigue and all that stuff. But now, it's down to getting the focus on the league. We need to shape up. We need to, just immediately go again this weekend against Galatasaray. We need a good result to boost our confidence. Guys like Batshuayi need a goal to boost his confidence. Like, I really like how he plays it. To me, he's the best striker we've ever had outside the box. But inside the box, he, especially in the Champions League now, he's missing too many chances, and he needs to start converting to get his mojo. But he's getting into those positions, and he's playing so well outside of the box and around the box. Also yesterday, set up Kyle Lauren with a great opportunity. I think he's a great player, and I really hope that he can get a couple of goals in the bag so he can boost his confidence. But now focus has to go on the league 100%. We need to start winning games consistently, so we don't get too far behind Trabzonspor. We're only 4 points behind right now, which is no problem. No man overboard at all. But we kind of need to limit the damage a little bit, maybe get a little closer even. We'll see. But then in the second half of the season, that's when I think we are going to push through, and hopefully we can make a difference there.
Thank you very much, Kaan Bayazit. As always, I co-sign just about everything this man has to say. But yeah, let's move on to our next match. What do we have next? Now, next up, of course, is Galatasaray. Galatasaray is going to be visiting us at Vodafone Park on Monday, October 25th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in New York City. So, of course, check your local listings as per usual. Now, let's talk about Galatasaray a little bit. Let's talk about their form. And on their last match, they beat Konyaspor, who's been solid this year, but they were at home. You know, Konyaspor is typically a side that overperforms at home. It's a tough place to go to. So, 1-0 there. Prior to that, they beat Rize on the road 2-3. Rize is a side that has struggled magnificently thus far this season. Before that, they drew Marseille in the Europa League. And they're going to be playing in the Europa League again before I've recorded this episode. They're playing Lokomotiv at 3 p.m. In Russia, though. So that's perhaps right about when I'm going to drop this episode. So see how that goes for them. But yeah, so that's going to be what's happening on Monday, October 25th. We're going to be hosting Galatasaray for the first huge derby of the season. Now, quickly, let's preview their, average starting side thus far. And I don't know if this is the most accurate, but it looks to be. They play with, of course, Fernando Muslera as their goalkeeper, the 35-year-old Uruguayan still out there. Victor Nelson, 23-year-old Danish central defender, starts next to Alpaslan Öztürk, the 28-year-old Turk that they're now playing, I think, to fulfill their Turkish requirements. Then you've got DeAndre Yedlin at right back, and of course Patrick van Aanholt, 31-year-old Dutchman, on the left back. One of their big Romanian additions, Alexandru Cicaldau, 24-year-old central midfielder, plays next to Taylan Antalyale. And up ahead of them is some combination of Kerem Aktürkoğlu and their other Romanian, Olimpiu Morutan, the 22-year-old Romanian, as well as Halil Dervişoğlu, 21-year-old Turk, with Mustafa Mohamed starting ahead of them. So, Kerem Aktürkoğlu and I believe Dervişoğlu are typically the wingers with Morutan in the middle, although I think Morutan can play on the wing as well, so perhaps it sort of depends on how they're lining up on the day. And again, that's just like the average squad. I don't know if that's, because of injuries or whatever it might be. Of course, they have a number of other players, Luyendama, Dianye, a number of other names that are not playing regularly. Emre Kilinç, who's scored for them. Ryan Babel, a name many will recognize, obviously. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, but that's the squad I think you could probably expect for us to encounter on Monday. So yeah, I mean, obviously, tough match against Sporting. Terrible outcome, incredible disappointment. But in a way, I hope this is exactly the type of thing that will spur a response, and we're gonna need one against Galatasaray. It's probably worth noting that Galatasaray is in 6th place. We're in 4th place, but we both have 17 points. We're up ahead of them because of goal difference. We have +7 to their +2. But so, a draw or a win, and we're still up ahead of them. Doesn't really matter at this point. A loss would be not good. And it's a derby. We want a W here. We're finally starting to get some regular output from these guys that we've brought in. Finally starting to hopefully get these guys to gel a little bit. Hopefully we can get away from this possession-heavy gegenpress up front, get tired, and let these guys counterattack at will approach to playing, which has now happened twice in a row. Başakşehir here was unfortunate, but we were missing a few pieces, and obviously this time it was way more unfortunate. We got burned by it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. We're going to need to do better against Galatasaray, and hopefully we will. So anyway, thanks again to Kaan Bayazit for his hashtag Kaan's Corner. Follow him at Razzerian, RAZZERIAN. Follow myself at Sir_Writes_a lot. Follow my Stadium Sound guy, Emre ehasturk, at ehasturk, EHASTURK. And yeah, as always, stay tuned for more. We'll be back post-game on Monday. Hope maybe with another co-host, maybe another hashtag so-and-so. But either way, it should hopefully have a different outcome. I can't imagine. Let's just hope for the best. And certainly, let's go Beşiktaş! Peace out, everyone.
Şimdi Bobo'nun önüne. Bobo aldı. Bobo girdi. Bobo çok babasın. Çok harikasın. Çok güzelsin. Harika. Bobo! 2-0. Yoldan geldi. Dışarı attı. Goodbye Liverpool. Goodbye. Beşiktaş Liverpool'a gidiyor. Berkan'dan Sinan geliyor. Beşiktaş
Beşiktaş International hopes you enjoyed this program.